Hello and welcome to the Conscious Leader podcast. I'm Kirsty Waite from Kirsty Waite Business Coaching.
And I'm Dorrianne from DLC Coaching. We've collaborated to deliver a program we are super passionate about, giving managers and business owners control to inspire, empower and lead with authenticity, ultimately creating happier workplaces.
And each Friday we'll be coming to you with a discussion topic all around conscious leadership. Enjoy this week's episode. Hello, I'm Kirsty Waite.
Hi, and I'm Dorrianne Casey. Today we're going to be talking about how you recognise your leadership style. So, Kirsty, how do you recognise your leadership style? Let's start there.
I think if we just start at very fundamental basics, I think when we talk about leadership styles, it's made up of our own characteristics and values and how we go around managing people and how we lead. But it's a lot around self-reflection for me, and it's about understanding how we can get the best out of the people in our team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And on that self-reflection, I think that leads nicely onto self-awareness as well, and recognizing your own strengths, your own challenges that you face, and recognizing how you show up as a leader anyway. But also as part of that, and I know we've spoken about self-awareness before. I believe the whole recognizing your leadership style is an extension of that. It's how not only how you show up, as I've just mentioned, but it's really understanding each individual member in your team and how they respond. And I think it's really important to recognise that your leadership style isn't necessarily something that's stuck. It's cemented. It's something that you don't alter or change. I think it's really important to recognise that you do have to adapt it according to the teams that you have and how they kind of gel and how they work. And it's ultimately your aim is to see how you can get the best out of that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is the leader's job to adapt and flex, because they are the leader of the team. They need to create that environment where the team can thrive. And I think the first point of this is when people first go into management and leadership, they don't always initially think about how they're going to lead and what kind of leader they're going to be and what kind of leadership style they're going to adopt. I think they think about, how can I get the team to perform? How am I going to manage these people? But I think what's really important is to take a step back and really understand what your leadership style is, and I think I totally agree that then it is up to the leader to flex and adapt to get the best out of their team. But then that leads on to the question of what we're really passionate about is people leading with authenticity. So how do we expect people to lead with authenticity when we're asking them to flex their style?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I don't think it's as black and white as that. I think it's so important to show up authentic and so important to kind of lead by your values. And I suppose what I think and my belief around the whole like flexing your leadership style is where you is the point at which you engage with your individual team members. So you're still kind of staying true to your values and what you believe and how you feel that you should show up. But once you really understand your team and how you can get the best out of them, the reflection is no longer on you, it's actually on them. And I think that's where the adaptation of your leadership style comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think from an authenticity perspective, when we are operating as our true self in line with our own personal values and understanding our leadership style, it doesn't matter what environment or who we're with, because we know at our core fundamentally who we are and how we manage. It's how we then present that or lead people to get the best out of them using our style and ability. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I'm curious, how do we maintain consistency then? So if we're showing up and we're maintaining our values, I suppose that's where the consistency is. And then suddenly we have to kind of flex and adapt to individuals in order to get the best out of them. How can we communicate that in terms of how we present ourselves and be still maintaining authenticity?
I think it's about, for me, you live your values, don't you? So you show up every day and you live and breathe your own values. And it's also about being fair and communicating in the right way. And sometimes you need to communicate slightly differently depending on who you're talking to or what you're trying to communicate. And it's understanding that when you are communicating, it's a consistent, fair message to me. And it's not losing the focus and direction of what you're trying to achieve, which ultimately is a high performing, happy team who will deliver what you want them to deliver. And I think we have lots of different characteristics as a leader, and that's okay. I think from a big point that I want to discuss and raise today is we don't all fit into these little boxes of styles. And yes, you see lists of different leadership styles and the most common ones and the common traits and characteristics that we see. But what's really important is that we create our own path and we become the leader that we want to be. And you might see that you fall into a number of these different boxes, and that is totally okay. And that's, for me, you're creating a unique style that works for you and that works for your team. And understanding that, I feel then you're giving yourself permission, to me, to be the kind of leader you want to be, rather than thinking, well, this is how I've seen leadership happen before, this is obviously the right way, or this is what I need to do because this is the environment I'm working in. I feel like it's really important for people to give themselves the permission to be the leader they want to be, and that works for them, because ultimately what we want to be as leaders is creating the heroes in our team and empowering other people to be the best they can be, which will then ultimately give us what we want, and that is the outcome of the team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And again, it's coming back to actually, that our focus as leaders is on, and managers is on our team and how we can get the best out of them. I just want to draw upon an article we posted on DK Coaching on LinkedIn. I've lost it. Where at? Here we go. I'm just going to get it up. And the title of the article is called Spotlight on Leadership Styles. And it brings up some really good points on leadership style, but it also gives a good infographic on what leadership styles potentially are out there. So this is just going back to what you were saying, Kirsty, about putting people in boxes. And I think it's really important, I suppose, when I list these, is not to kind of really, again, put yourself into those boxes, but I think it's raising awareness of those different styles, and how, if you feel that you're leaning towards a certain style, how can you draw upon the advantages rather than the disadvantages of that style? And maybe how can you draw upon other leadership styles to really kind of improve on that current style that you have? So I don't know whether it's going to be of any use, but certainly do have a look at it. It's on our LinkedIn page, DK Coaching. But you have a coercive style, autocratic, commanding style, pace setting, authoritative, visionary, persuasive, consultative, democratic, laissez-faire, affiliative, and coaching style. I don't know, out of curiosity, what style do you think, or what styles do you feel that you fit in with?
I think, going back to what I said before, I think there's probably a number of those that I fit into. And my leadership style, I would say, is very much of, it's coaching, isn't it? Like, I'm a coach, that's what I do. And that's how I kind of take someone on that journey to motivate them and create their own ideas. And I think that infographic you're talking about there does really well is it gives people the opportunity to reflect on the kind of style that they feel like they may fall into, but it also shows advantages and disadvantages, which helps our self-reflection and helps us improve as leaders, because we're not always shining a spotlight on the areas that we need to improve in, if that makes sense. So we might be going along as a leader thinking, yeah, you know, I'm really engaging with my team, I'm getting the best out of them. What we don't always consider is that by the way that we lead in, there might be a downside or a hidden, I suppose, negative to that we're not considering, because we think it is our style and that's really good and I feel like that works well. But coming from my point of view, I have an unconscious bias of that. Whereas from an external perspective, sometimes it just shines the spotlight on, actually, have you considered this? Which only makes us a better leader.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think it's really important, if you're going to have any leadership style, is create an environment where you can have those conversations with your teams and actually openly ask them, you know, what can I do better managing you as well? You know, where are my blind spots? Talk to me. Just as much as you would talk to them about, you know, helping them and supporting them and coaching them through it, improving and bettering them. I think it's vital to get to have that rapport and relationship with your team. It's not always easy, I totally get that, but you know, in the best case scenarios and that you could possibly create, certainly try to create that environment of openness, because I truly believe, I know as a leader and a manager, I have blind spots, and you know, I'm permanently saying, you know, trying to be more self-aware and I think the only way that you can really be as self-aware as possible is having the confidence to ask as well.
Absolutely. And to asking, that is a courageous step, because you don't know what you're going to get back, and not just asking totally. The people that you're directly managing, as in line managing responsibility, ask for feedback from your line manager, you know, like there's different ways of getting that information from an independent third party. And I think what's really another aspect of when as part of that article is about using authority versus giving freedom. And I think it's really important to understand when to use each and to flex between it, because if you're trying to achieve a certain thing, you might need to dip in and out of which style you choose to use or how you choose to deliver that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And again, it always comes back to getting the best out of individuals and how do you adapt your style accordingly? Because everyone's different and everybody responds with different style. You know, if I went into my team, you know, all like really softly spoken all the time, some people would love that. And other people would just look at me and think, God, where are your a lack
of disrespect, maybe.
Absolutely. But so I just think it's really important to really engage with those individuals and see how you can get the best out of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that I think what we need to do now is maybe just reflect on exactly what we've just spoken about. I know we've commented on the different styles of leadership, how we can show up as a leader, what we need to get out of our teams, and how important it is to, ask those difficult questions. What else did you really want to highlight on, Kirsty, in terms of, you know, what we've actually just picked up here today?
I think fundamentally, I want leaders to feel, I want people out there that's leading and managing people to feel confident and comfortable to create their own leadership style that works for them. And also, don't be scared to ask for feedback, because even though it's sometimes difficult, that's what's going to create you a better leader. And the reflection of what kind of leader actually am I? Because you in your head might think you're one kind of leader, but when you actually start and just taking a step back and understanding about the different styles and how you behave in certain ways and how you deal and communicate with your team, you might actually get different feedback.
Yeah.
But ultimately for me is don't pigeonhole yourself into a box. You can show up and be the leader that you want to be, whatever that looks like, as long as you are getting the best out of your team and you have shown up authentically.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency as well, I think is key, and openness as well, and allowing yourself to not be perfect, allowing yourself to be openly imperfect.
Yeah, because it's a leader's responsibility to create that safe, vulnerable environment, isn't it? And that's how they do it, by being real, by creating that environment for other people to feel vulnerable and thrive. And absolutely.
Totally focused. Okay.
Yeah. So there's plenty on our LinkedIn around this subject this week. We've had articles and blog posts and things going on. So if you want to learn more about it, head over to there. But equally, this also feeds into our conscious leadership program that we're talking about. So if that's something that you'd like to learn more about, please reach out to myself, Kirsty, or Dorrianne, and we'll happily take you through it, give you more information. And equally, can you please subscribe on YouTube to our videos, like and comment if you've got anything to say.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Right. That wraps it up. So I think next week we're talking about a really good topic. We're talking about coaching in the workplace. Yeah, obviously something we both feel very passionate about. So please join us next week to talk more about that.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed the discussion.
If you're interested in learning more about the Conscious Leadership Programme, reach out to myself, Kirsty, or Dorrianne via LinkedIn and find out more. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a good week.